Each year, PDAC in Toronto brings together miners, investors, and curious newcomers alike to connect with others in the resource space. As one of the biggest mining events in Canada, attendees visit from all over the world, including the land down under, Australia. Known worldwide for attractions like the Sydney Opera House, the country also has a very strong presence in the resource sector. Iron ore and coal stand tall as two of Australia's biggest exports and most prominent resources, but opportunities for other commodities are as wide as the outback. As the year marches on, the Investing News Network took to the PDAC floor to ask Australian experts which underexplored parts of the country could be a future mining hotspot.
Are there any states or territories in particular that you think could stand to see a little more exploration?
Well, I think probably Western Australia. He's still got a huge amount of potential. South Australia as well. Even Queensland, Northern Territory. There's a huge amount of area and governments that are supportive of the minerals industry. And then you look at something like Victoria, where you've got Kirkland Lake and Fosterville. That's encouraging a lot of renewed interest in looking at that area, which was traditionally one of the early gold exploration areas and mining areas of Australia.
Well, maybe not a mining hotspot this year, but certainly an exploration hotspot. So one of the things that many people don't realise about Australia is that it's, although it's a very mature exploration destination, it's actually only about 20-25% of the country is actually effectively explored. About 75% is effectively untouched, unscratched by a drill rig. So the business that we're in at MinX CRC is about trying to uncover the rest of the 75% of the country.
Also chiming in on Australia's commodity potential was Cameron Cairns of Geoscience Australia.
Gold's one thing we've got in spades, so I think gold. Copper could be underdone. As well. There's a lot of interest in greenfields copper exploration in Australia at the moment. In Victoria, in Western Victoria, there's an early stage copper project getting up there on the back of pre-competitive geoscience. It was undertaken by ourselves, Geological Survey Victoria, and also Geoscience Australia through applied geoscience research. So that would be another area to be looking as well.
All right, and I know you're very keen on gold, but are there any dark horse commodities that you could see being a very big deal in Australia this year?
I think that the critical metals and rare earths in particular, so there's been a lot of interest in that, in all the jurisdictions, in what sort of capacity, whether it be hard rock or whether it be in things like mineral sands and so forth. So I think that will become a commodity that's frequently chased.
Okay, and what do you think brings such an interest to these rare earths and critical metals?
I think as new technology is developing, especially things like electric vehicles and solar panels and so forth, the renewables or the green technology, and they use a lot of the elements that are in those particular commodities.
Other members of PDAC's Australian Pavilion echoed his sentiment on the potential for rare earth elements and critical metals in Australia.
If you had to place bets, which commodity do you think Australia could be very quietly housing an abundance of?
Look, we're blessed with our geology. We've got a very rich and diverse geological history, and we've got pretty much the periodic table. And we think around the interest in critical commodities, so those are particularly the battery metals and those strategic metals. We think Australia is a quiet achiever in there potentially, and we're doing our best to try and unlock the potential for the critical commodities in particular. Many of these go in tandem with the sort of the major metals like copper or gold and so on, but it's the companion metals that are associated with that. So really trying to understand where they fit into the picture, I think, is going to be important going forward and important for us and our trading partners.
As revolutions surrounding electric vehicles and renewable energy have begun taking shape, Australia's working relationship with Asia has been more multifaceted than ever. However, INN wanted to know which other countries Australia could stand to benefit from collaborating with.
Look, I think Australia is seen as a safe mining jurisdiction. We have security of tenure, growing and secure infrastructure, so I think we could definitely develop relations with countries in South America, for example, who are looking for safe places to explore and operate. So, yeah, there's some of the opportunities we're exploring.
Yes, look, we're really pleased with the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding with the United States Geological Survey and the Geological Survey of Canada, and we're looking at it's more of a science collaboration around understanding mineral potential and how you go about mapping it. So Canada or Australia are sort of similar but different countries, but it's about a science approach, and so also same with the United States. And the United States are particularly interested in the strategic and critical commodities. So part of our alliance our partnership with them is to outline what's the potential for being a safe supplier of critical commodities, particularly into the US. From the Canadians' perspective, is it how you go about actually defining a mineral potential, particularly in these underexplored and undercover areas, whether they be under deserts or whether they be under tundra.
Australia continues to flex its strength in the resource sector with an abundance of reliable assets and continued discoveries in fresh commodities. For the rest of INN's PDAC 2019 coverage, check out our YouTube page at Investing News.